What if I told you that the only thing standing between you and jaw-dropping confidence is just a few mindset shifts? In today's episode of Earworm English, we're showing you how to walk, talk, and own the room, even if you don't feel confident yet. From mastering body language to silencing self-doubt, these are the exact steps to make people wonder, who is that? Smash that like, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below. What's your secret move when you want to feel unstoppable? If you're putting on your favorite outfit? Power posing in the mirror? Blasting your hype song? Or maybe just walking in like you own the place? Whatever it is, we want to hear it.
Have you ever, walked into a room and felt completely invisible?
Oh, yeah.
Could be a party or a meeting or even just standing in line for coffee or you're just there.
Yeah.
But then someone else walks in and it's not even anyone famous.
Right.
Not anyone you even recognize, but suddenly it's like the whole room is kind of tuned into their frequency. They just have this thing about them. You might even think for a second, wait, are they famous?
Yeah. Like a presence, right?
It's that quiet confidence that just commands attention without even trying, without a spotlight or anything.
Absolutely. Just like that self-assurance.
That's exactly what we're digging into today in this deep dive.
I love it. And what's so fascinating is that it's not some mystical, unattainable quality.
Right.
It's something that, we can unpack, figure out how to cultivate.
That's our mission today.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack some really cool source material that you've shared with me about this very thing. And this source is really interesting because it's a very grounded, practical perspective.
Yes.
It's not about a total overnight, dramatic transformation.
Totally.
Or putting on a superficial act, right?
No, not at all.
It's really about kind of digging deeper.
Yes. It really does debunk that myth that some people are just born with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
That superstar vibe.
I just ooze confidence.
Yeah, and we're going to look at that myth of effortless confidence. Where does it come from?
Right.
How do you actually make a shift in that inner dialogue that's sometimes I don't know.
Right.
Holding you back.
Exactly.
How do you actually start showing up with more confidence?
Yeah.
In your daily life? And then also how to deal with that self-consciousness, because I think that's huge.
Oh, huge. Yeah, definitely.
That can really get in the way. So, ready to dive in?
Oh, I am so ready.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's talk about this idea of innate confidence first, because the source material really tackles that head on.
Yes.
That person that just seems effortlessly confident, it's not like they were blessed from birth.
No. This source actually, it calls it a total myth. It says, and I love this, it says, nope, they just got tired of being awkward.
That's so good.
I love that. It reframes confidence as something you actively do.
Yeah.
Not something you're just given.
I love that.
And it uses this brilliant analogy. It compares confidence to Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Well, some days the signal is strong. Some days it's weak.
Yeah.
But the connection is always there if you know where to find it. Isn't that so true?
That is so true. I mean, we all have those moments.
We do.
Where we feel, more or less on our game.
Absolutely.
But it's that key insight, right?
Yeah.
It's not a fixed state. It fluctuates.
Totally.
So think of those dips not as some fundamental failing,
right?
But just a temporary signal issue.
Right.
You can troubleshoot.
Yeah.
You can adjust your approach.
Yeah. And the source gives this really great example, a little peek behind the curtain of social media, which I think we can all appreciate.
Oh, absolutely.
So it mentions that person on Instagram who always just looks so effortlessly confident.
Yeah.
And it's trust me, they probably took 1,000,000 takes before posting that casual story.
100%.
And it really just shows you how much intention and effort can go into crafting that image of confidence that we see and then compare ourselves to.
Totally. And it's so important to remember that, right?
Yeah.
Because we're constantly bombarded with these curated snapshots of seemingly perfect confidence.
Totally.
And it's so easy to feel inadequate,
It is.
But recognizing like the work and intention behind those presentations, I think it helps to make that level of confidence feel more achievable.
Yes.
More like something you can work towards.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the real talk tip from the source. Stop waiting to feel confident. Just act like the version of you who already is.
I love that.
It's like fake it till you make it, but with a little bit more intention.
Right.
Right.
It's not about being inauthentic.
Right.
It's about embodying the behaviors, the mannerisms
Yes.
of your like more self-assured self.
Yes.
Even before you fully experience that inner shift.
Yeah. Just ditch the whole ready, aim, fire, just go straight to fire.
Totally. Yeah.
Action breeds feeling, not the other way around.
Yes, 100%. And there's actually, a lot of research that backs that up.
Oh, interesting.
That our behavior can influence our emotions.
Wow.
And how we see ourselves.
That's so cool.
So by consciously adopting those outward signs of confidence, how you hold yourself, how you speak, you can actually start to cultivate that inner feeling.
I love that. Okay, so give us an example from the source of what true confidence looks like.
All right, well, this is a subtle one, but really powerful. Confidence isn't loud. It's steady. It's the friend who orders food without asking everyone what they're getting first.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about being the loudest voice in the room.
No.
It's about this quiet self-assuredness.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great illustration because it really highlights the difference between someone who's like trying to appear confident.
Yes.
And someone who genuinely is.
Yes.
The person who confidently orders, they're not looking for validation or approval.
No.
They're just acting on their own preference. It's a small, but like significant indicator of just inner conviction.
Okay, I love that. So we've busted the myth that confidence is something you're born with.
Yes.
It's a DIY project.
It is.
So how do we actually start building it? The next section digs into rewiring your brain, and it starts by saying our inner voice is kind of rude.
Yes.
So tell us more about that inner critic.
Well, the source frames it from a very practical standpoint, which I appreciate. Well, your brain's number one job is to keep you safe.
Right.
To ensure your survival. So anything new, anything that pushes you outside your comfort zone, your brain can interpret as a potential threat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So think of it like your brain's inner grandma.
Okay.
She's just trying to keep you on the kiddie rides.
Oh my God.
Of comfort, right?
I love that.
So it's like that grandma on the roller coaster.
Oh, okay.
She's like, whoa, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Like that internal resistance.
Yeah.
Recognize that fear as overprotection, not truth.
Oh, gosh. I feel that roller coaster feeling so often.
Yeah.
It's that voice in the back of your head that's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Should you really be doing that? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we tell that overprotective grandma in our brains to maybe just take a chill pill?
Well, the source has some concrete techniques, which I love.
Okay.
The first one is stand taller, even if you're 5'4". And, it's amazing how much of a difference this can make.
Really?
There's research that connects posture to how confident we feel.
Wow.
Even just slightly adjusting how you carry yourself can really project more self-assurance.
How?
Both of yourself and to others.
That makes total sense. It's like you're physically taking up more space.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I deserve to be here.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the next practical step?
Speak slower. Famous people don't rush. They expect you to listen. And this is another one of those subtle but really powerful shifts.
Okay.
When we're nervous, we tend to speed up.
Yeah, totally.
But speaking more deliberately not only makes you sound more authoritative, but it gives you more time to think,
right,
to gather your thoughts.
Yeah.
And it projects an expectation that what you have to say is worth hearing.
Wow. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah.
When someone speaks slowly and calmly, you automatically pay more attention.
Right.
It does convey that sense of control.
Total.
And importance. And the last tip in this section is about eye contact. And it says, Don't stare like a serial killer. Just glance like a calm human.
Yes.
That made me laugh out loud.
It's funny because it's true.
It is.
Effective eye contact is about making a connection,
Yes.
not about intimidating someone.
Right, right.
So a soft, steady gaze shows you're engaged, you're sincere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, avoiding eye contact can signal insecurity,
Yeah.
but you don't want to overcompensate with an intense, unwavering stare.
No serial killer vibe.
Exactly. It's about finding that comfortable middle ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it talks about this daily life hack, which is striking a power pose in private before like a big event.
Yeah.
And it acknowledges it might feel a little weird.
A little weird, yeah.
But it says your brain will think you just gave a TED Talk.
Yeah, so the idea behind power posing is that
Okay.
adopting these expansive open postures
Mm-hmm.
can actually lead to small but significant changes in your body. Like an increase in testosterone, a decrease in cortisol,
Okay.
which are hormones associated with feeling more confident, less stressed.
Yeah. Interesting.
The research on this has evolved a bit since it first came out.
Okay.
There's been some discussion about the initial findings.
Gotcha.
But the act of intentionally embodying a confident posture, I think, can still have a positive psychological impact in the moment.
Okay.
Even if it just shifts your mindset a little bit,
Yeah.
helps you feel a bit more prepared,
Makes sense.
before you walk into a challenging situation.
I am willing to embrace feeling a little silly in private if it gives me even a tiny boost of confidence when it counts.
I think it's worth a try.
Okay, so we've looked at mindset, some physical techniques. Now let's get to this idea of act famous before you are. This sounds so intriguing.
So this is where the source encourages us to be more active and conscious,
Okay.
to embody confidence in our everyday lives.
Love that.
So it prompts you to really visualize, like, what would your confident self be like?
Okay.
What kind of clothes would they wear?
Interesting.
How would they carry themselves in ordinary situations?
Yeah, like just sitting on the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What would their text messages even sound like?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's about intentionally stepping into that persona.
It's like method acting for your own life.
It really is.
You're not just passively waiting for confidence to magically appear. You're role playing
Exactly.
the confident version of yourself.
Yeah, and the source shares this relatable moment, which I love, about making the effort to wear real pants for Zoom calls
Oh my gosh, yes.
and the impact that can have.
Even if no one sees it,
I know.
I can totally see that. It's that little just shift
Yeah.
in how you feel about yourself.
It's a signal to yourself
yes.
just as much as it is to others.
that you're put together. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
And then it gives this mini challenge, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it gives you those immediate actionable steps.
Totally.
So it suggests, okay, finally post that idea you've been holding back on.
Yes.
Make a point to join a conversation that you might normally avoid.
Yeah.
Walk into a cafe with a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
even if you're just grabbing a coffee.
Yes. Yes.
These are such small, everyday opportunities to practice.
Yeah. And those micro actions are so important because confidence isn't built through these massive leaps.
Right.
It's the accumulation of these small wins.
Mhm.
Those little moments where you intentionally push yourself slightly outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And as the source says, no one else needs to know if you're feeling a little bit nervous inside.
Right.
You're simply practicing showing up with a different kind of energy.
Okay, so we're actively trying to be more confident. We're working on quieting that inner critic. But what about that nagging fear of what other people think?
Ugh. Yes.
That's the hurdle
It's huge.
for so many people.
Yeah, totally. Myself included sometimes.
Absolutely.
The last section is titled Haters Gonna. Wait, who? I love that.
So good. So good.
So tell us more about this.
This section directly tackles that anxiety about being judged.
Mm-hmm.
And the central message here is actually quite liberating.
Okay.
Most people are far more focused on their own lives than they are on, meticulously scrutinizing yours.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
Right. This source even mentions, like, people being too busy, like, rereading their own text and scrolling through their own social media feeds
That's hilarious and so true.
to, like, really pay attention to you.
Yes.
It's a good reminder that we often overestimate how much headspace we occupy in other people's minds.
It's so true. I mean, we get so caught up in our own heads,
Yeah.
obsessing over every little thing we say or do.
Yeah.
And in reality, everyone else is probably just as wrapped up in their own thoughts and anxieties.
Absolutely.
So how do we use this realization to boost our confidence in real life?
Okay, so the source gives these confidence power-ups, which I love.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first one, laugh at yourself. People love that.
Oh, that's so good.
There's something so disarming and relatable about someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, totally.
It shows a sense of humility. It makes you more approachable.
It breaks the ice, too.
Totally.
It shows that you're comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
Imperfections and all. Okay, what's the next confidence booster?
This is great. Have 2 go-to phrases for when you're nervous. Mine is, oops, I forgot my coolness at home.
Oh, that's so good.
Right.
I love...
Having a couple of lighthearted phrases ready
Mm-hmm.
can really help to, like, diffuse those awkward moments.
Yeah.
Show that you don't feel the need to be perfect all the time.
Right?
It takes the pressure off.
Totally. Yeah, it's such a clever way to handle those moments of self-doubt or nervousness.
Yeah.
It turns it into something almost charming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and the final power-up.
Tiny wins.
Yes.
The source really emphasizes, speaking up once a day
Okay.
and how those small actions accumulate.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building momentum.
Yeah, like that.
Each time you voice your opinion,
Yeah.
every time you step outside your comfort zone, even just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it reinforces that feeling of capability, of confidence.
Okay, so to tie it all together, based on everything we've unpacked,
Yeah.
how do you become that person that walks into a room and just has that quiet confidence that makes people wonder if they're famous?
That's the million-dollar question,
As
right?
it is.
I think the takeaways from this deep dive are really clear.
Okay.
First, stop waiting for that magical moment where you suddenly feel completely confident.
Yeah.
Start acting like that version of yourself right now.
Love that.
Second, be kind to yourself and your thoughts.
Yes.
Like, talk to yourself with the same understanding and encouragement that you'd offer a friend.
That's so important.
Yeah. Third, learn to embrace a little bit of humor. And don't let the fear of judgment hold you back.
Yeah.
And finally, move through your day, even those small everyday tasks, with a sense of purpose.
So it's not about being loud or showy or constantly seeking attention.
No.
It's much more about a quiet sense of self-assurance,
Exactly.
like a consistent way of showing up in the world,
Yeah.
and definitely the ability to not take yourself too seriously.
100%. Yeah. And it's those subtle shifts in
Yeah.
your behavior and your mindset
Yeah.
that over time create a really significant impact
Yeah,
on how you see yourself and how others see you.
absolutely.
And it's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about unlocking that confident potential that's already within you.
So for you, the listener, the invitation here is to just start small.
Yeah.
Pick 1 or 2 of these strategies that really resonated with you and just try them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just focusing on standing a little taller or speaking a little slower, or even just having that funny go-to phrase ready for when you feel self-conscious,
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And just embrace that initial feeling of awkwardness,
Yeah.
knowing that every small step you take is actually building that inner confidence.
Yes.
And remember that confident, head-turning version of you,
Mm-hmm.
they are much closer than you think.
Yes.
They're just waiting for you to take that first action.
Yeah.
To show up in your own life with a little more self-belief
Totally.
and just a touch of that famous energy.
Absolutely. It all comes down to, making that decision to show up as the you want to be.
That's a great note to end on.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.